No, it does not. Cabin pressure is stable, but we need you to perform this procedure to get cabin pressure control to maintenance. Copy. We're here for whatever you need.
We don't read it that way.
Let's perform step 3 of this procedure, cabin leak suspected. Step 3. Good words. Affirm. Copy. That's a good config. Thank you, Reed. All right, Integrity crew, I am now ready to pass you big picture words on what happened.
This is Artemis Mission Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. We have reestablished communications with the crew. We did go into an LOS on our forward link. That was a planned and tracked LOS. And then we also experienced an LOS on the return link, the link where the crew is able to communicate with us. We have since done a string swap, sent that up, and we have communication with the crew that we're working to get back into the broadcast. The crew also received a cabin leak.
Into the LOS is that when you went to RADHAB in the suit drying procedure, we went to a suit state with a lower cabin fan speed. This caused a little shift in the outlet pressure of the cabin fan where that pressure sensor is, and it registered a pressure change. So we got that warning, cabin leak suspected, in alarm. This moded the cabin pressure mode to idle, which meant that we stopped O2 introduction into the cabin. We needed to mode back to maintenance to regain O2 introduction back into the cabin. Copy. And I see what you see about the procedure. We just wanted to make sure we called you into that. Step 3 was the important part there. Second of all, we had an unexpected return link LOS when we transitioned to DSN Madrid. We had good luck, but we weren't getting any data. When we got forward link, in our INCO sent a command for a string swap, which was successful. We are now on string 1 for S-band. Okay, and we are still looking at what happened with S-band string 2. We don't know yet, and that's all I have for you. Thanks, guys. Sounds great. Thank you, Reed.
Again, we are working on getting the crew audio back into the broadcast, but you heard Capcom Jenny Gibbons, CSA astronaut and Artemis 2 backup, communicating with the crew some of our recent changes on the spacecraft. As we went into the LOS with the crew, that loss of signal, which we were expecting, we also noticed a cabin fan change, which caused a cabin leak suspect warning. There was no cabin leak. We needed to mode back to a maintenance option and reintroduce oxygen into the cabin. You also heard Gibbons explain that when we transitioned on the Deep Space Network to the Madrid site, that we ended up losing the crew's communications as well, that we had a good lock on the spacecraft, but we just weren't receiving their data. Our INCO flight controller conducted a string swap to regain that data. We now have good data and communications back with the crew. You'll also be noticing more people filtering into the flight control room. The Orbit 1 team is handing over to the Orbit 2 team. On your screen, you can see Capcom Jenny Gibbons handing over the console to Mark Reagan. That's the voice you'll hear throughout the Orbit 2 shift with the crew. One of the major milestones coming up for tonight will be the OTC-3 burn. That's Outbound Trajectory Correction 3. We execute these small burns using the reaction control system thrusters on the spacecraft to help us refine our trajectory as we begin to fly around the moon tomorrow and come home, a splashdown in the Pacific on flight day 10. While we were in that LOS with the crew, they were in their midday meal, and some of the options they had today include chicken noodle soup, chicken with peanut sauce, spicy green beans, mashed potatoes, roasted turkey, rice, tomatoes and artichokes, spaghetti with meat sauce, vegetable casserole, sweet and savory kale, shrimp curry with rice, and a personal favorite, macaroni and cheese. I cannot omit that there was also a cosmic brownie as a dessert option.
Integrity Houston, no action on the enabled prop cautions on the board.
Integrity copies. Thanks.
Integrity Houston, for the enabled caution, these prop cautions are because we are manually pressurizing that branch for upcoming OTC3. We're taking a closer look at them. No action for you.
Integrity copies. Thanks.
This is Artemis Mission Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. We are now 4 days, 2 hours, and 51 minutes into the flight of Artemis 2. Our crew today woke up at 11:05 a.m. Central Time. They stepped into their post-sleep period, and notably, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen received his gold astronaut pin, meaning he is now a flown astronaut. The first half of the crew's day has been spent in the Ox Suit demo. That stands for Orion Crew Survival System Suit. During that time, the crew all got into their orange suits that you saw during launch day and that they will wear again on the return day. The crew can ingress these suits if there were to be a depressurization event in the spacecraft. Obviously, that is not what we were how it would be to put on their spacesuits in that sort of environment. 2 of the crew were instructed to get into their suits rapidly. The other 2 crew members were instructed to get into their suits at a regular pace. After that, we had 2 of our crew members ingress or get into their seats as if they were preparing for return. We also pressurized the suits. Again, this is a flight test, and every day is an opportunity to test a different system aboard the spacecraft. Coming up this evening, we have the OTC-3 burn. That is the outbound trajectory 3 burn, and we'll continue to refine our path around the moon and back home. Orion is now 46,395 miles away from the Moon, 228,329 miles away from Earth. That number continuing to increase while our distance from the Moon continues to decrease, scheduling with our lunar flyby scheduled for tomorrow. With Orbit 1 handover here in Mission Control, being handed over to the Orbit 2 team, that'll also do it for us, or for me, here in Mission Control Houston. I will be handing over the Public Affairs Console to my friend and colleague Anna Schneider. We will continue our 24/7 coverage on NASA's YouTube all the way until the crew is splashed down and safely recovered. So don't go anywhere. Anna will be joining you shortly.
Houston Integrity on 1 for lunar viewing.
Go ahead, Reed, for lunar view. And for your info, you came down on 2.
All right, Jenny. The moon is decidedly large out the window today. We can see all of Apollo, all of Oriental, annular ring. We can see, I'm 99% sure, Ohm, see Pirazo very easily, and just getting over. Can't quite pick up Vavilov yet, but that far side that is right on the limb is extremely mountainous. Try to get some pictures, but it's a high grazing angle. But it's pretty awesome to just look out and see all of these sites, and it's bright, but very visible with the naked eye. Still primarily seeing whites, grays. Maybe I could convince myself on the far side there's some just hues of brown, very light, very, very faint. But it's a great view. It's beautiful. And on the near side, Aristarchus is by far the most prominent feature. It is really just glowing bright right now.
That's beautiful, Reed. Thanks for bringing us all up there with you.
And for the science team, Pirazo and Aristarchus have the same albedo level right now. They're the same level of brightness. And then looking down, Copernicus is just a little bit dimmer, but it's close.
Science is loving it, as expected. Thanks, Reed. While I'm talking to you guys, I have a topic on burn monitor for Jeremy.
He'll call you back in about 5 minutes.
Sounds good. No rush.
Houston Integrity, just one other observation. Looking at the Terminator, it's almost a full moon from this perspective, but we got the Terminator on the western edge of the moon, about 1 Oriental diameter from Oriental, and just with our plain eyes, you can really start to see topography. There is elevation on the moon, not just variation in color, and that already makes the moon look wildly different.
You have a lot of people looking forward to tomorrow. Thank you so much.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. The Orbit 2 team of flight controllers has recently come on console, and they are being led by Flight Director Diane Daly. And they have handed over from the Orbit 1 team of flight controllers, and we just heard some communication down from the crew, specifically NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman and Victor Glover, as they were making some observations of the moon as they continue to close in on their distance between the Orion spacecraft and the moon. Currently, they are about 45,000 miles from the moon, again making some observations about the basins and craters that they are seeing as they continue to close that distance, with of course the lunar flyby and closest approach planned for flight day 6, which will be tomorrow, Monday, April 6th. Coming up here in about
integrity for photo TV.
Go ahead.
Just an observation with the D5. Through the optical viewfinder at 400 mils, the moon is crisp, absolutely clear, even with a high grazing angle through the windows. But when we are taking pictures, what we then see in the viewfinder is a bit blurrier than what we can see through the viewfinder. I just find that odd. I would have thought the viewfinder and the sensor would pick up the same data, but you can pass that along to those folks.
All right, we got it. Thanks for the call down.
This is Artemis Mission Control. Coming up in just under an hour and 20 minutes from now, the outbound trajectory correction 3 burn will be executed. This burn is expected to be about 18 seconds, and it will use Orion's orbital maneuvering system engine, or OMS engine, to ensure the spacecraft stays on target for its journey around the moon. There were 2 previous outbound trajectory correction burns earlier during the mission that were canceled, as it was determined that those burns were not needed, but they will be executing this outbound trajectory 3 burn coming up here shortly.
Houston Integrity, we're ready for those burn monitor words.
Hey, Jeremy. Good afternoon. The first thing is that step 10 is complete. The plus X flange heaters are on and prop avionics are configured. And then also, assuming that RHC is not currently deployed, that setup was back on step 7. If you want to refer to that, the bingo for that is TIG minus 45.
Okay, RHC is deployed, and we copy the prop step is complete. Appreciate it.
You are welcome. And just a couple of other general awareness things. We are working on updates for the day, and we will be getting that up to you shortly. We also have the lunar targeting package verification steps in message 3.05.05. That should take about 5 minutes to run on each of the PCDs, but we do need to wedge that in somewhere today so that if it doesn't work, we have a little bit of time to troubleshoot before tomorrow.
Okay, I can work on that actually. So I see it here. It's on this PCD 3.05.05.
Yeah, that's great, Jeremy. And we'd like to get confirmation that run through that procedure and get confirmation that all of the remaining working PCDs are functioning with this.
That would put us at ease as well. So we'll let you know on that shortly. For the burn pad, we noticed that that the delta V had changed quite a bit. So when did you want to get with us on the burn pad?
We're just planning to do that at the final burn conference, Jeremy.
Okay, that's fine. Just confirm the latest version that we're going to be referencing in that burn conference is UTC of ground generation 95/1400 hours.
Yes, Jeremy, that's correct. And just for context, the manual piloting is what changed that a little bit, the total delta V.
Well, we'll take that as a compliment.
Wouldn't have meant it any other way.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. You're currently seeing a live view inside Mission Control here. We were hearing some communication up to the crew, and the individual responsible for communicating directly with the crew is the Capcom or capsule communicator, who is on the left-hand side of your screen.
We're just setting up some charging for tomorrow. The alternate PCD charging cable, do you guys have the bandwidth to look that location up for us?
We do. Stand by. Looking for it now.
The Capcom currently on console as part of the Orbit 2 team is Mark Reagan, and you can see him there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, and he is sitting next to the Orbit 2 flight director, who is in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. The flight director on console is Diane Daly. The crew has been discussing a few different activities that they're working through. One of those is verifying that they have the final lunar targeting package available on their PCDs, or portable computing devices, which are basically tablets, that they're able to reference the various procedures and timelines that they're following throughout their mission. They were also discussing an upcoming burn conference, so they will have a conference directly with the flight director and the flight control team here in Mission Control Houston ahead of that outbound trajectory correction burn. That final burn conference is scheduled to take place in about 20 minutes from now.
Integrity Houston for the alt PCD power cable.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Jeremy, you can find that in E-Locker, bag number 10 with a brown label, and the Ziploc bag is called 15-volt PCD power cable.
Okay, copy that. Thank you, Mark.
Yep, you bet.
Houston, integrity for timeline.
Go ahead.
about an activity depressed acoustic monitoring on my timeline at 02 today. I believe since we had aborted the acoustic monitoring the 24-hour yesterday, I didn't see an activity to start this acoustic monitoring.
Hey, Christina, that's going to be a no perform today. And I am on the verge of giving you some other timeline deltas here.
Copy both. Thank you.
Integrity Houston with some timeline deltas.
Okay, go ahead. Your timeline deltas, Mark.
Okay, well, first of all, this just in, the SM prop helium ISO valves are configured, which is in step 12. And then for the timeline deltas, the things that we must perform today are that LTP verification we just talked about a few minutes ago, OTC3 burn ops, the toilet maintenance, the post-OXUT DFTO cabin inspect, AGA readings, and the PMC. I'll copy on that.
Okay, we copy all that. A couple notes from us. 2 out of 3 of the PCDs for LTP are complete and they're correct. I'll work on the third one next. We talked as a crew and we would like to defer today's PMC. We just don't need it.
Okay, copy that. All right, then a list of suggestions that can be deferred if you would like to.
Sorry, say again, Mark.
Yeah, let me say it more eloquently than I was about to. Everything else can be deferred as you guys desire.
Okay, appreciate it. That's great.
And Jeremy, sorry, one late add to the must be performed. We also need to repower that docking cam today. And then as bandwidth permits, we would love...
Understood. That makes sense.
All right, cool. As bandwidth permits, we would also like to understand your cabin config too, but as bandwidth permits.
Yeah, we can set up a little tour for you. I think you're going to be really impressed. I mean, we've done a great job here. Looks good up here. It is better than before.
Awesome.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. Again, we were hearing some communication between the crew on board the Orion spacecraft, which is named Integrity, and the team here at Mission Control. They were discussing some of the upcoming activities on the timeline for the remainder of the crew's day. Earlier today, following crew wake up, the crew jumped into a AUX suit, developmental flight test objective. AUX is the Orion crew survival system suit, that orange suit you see them wear for dynamic activities, including launch. They donned their suits or put them on and performed several different activities wearing those suits, but they were running behind on the timeline a little bit, so they are working to free up some of the remaining activities and defer activities that aren't critical to take place today. So that is what a majority of that conversation was about. So following the outbound trajectory correction burn, which is scheduled to take place in about 51 minutes from now. Again, it's a very small correction to fine-tune the trajectory of the Orion spacecraft as it makes its final approach and goes around the moon and returns back to Earth. Again, that lunar flyby planned for flight day 6 on Monday, April 6th, and that splashdown will be on Friday, April 10th. Following that burn, they will just have a few remaining activities to be completed for the day, including some standard anomaly gas or AGA readings that they take to measure the gases such as carbon dioxide in the crew cabin. They also have some toilet maintenance activities that they complete every day, and then they will have a post-AUX suit developmental flight test objective cabin inspection that they will complete before they head into their pre-sleep period to wrap up flight day 5.